My child, as the shadows of the evening stretch out and the noise of another busy day finally begins to fade into the quieter hours of the night, I want you to come close and listen, for this moment has been specifically appointed for a divine encounter that it's going to reshape everything about how you view your life. You have not arrived at this message by accident, nor by the random scroll of a screen, but by a providence that has been guiding your steps even when you thought you were wandering aimlessly through circumstance. Tonight, in this sacred space, between the closing of one day and the dawn of another, I am calling you into a profound experience of thanksgiving that will unlock doors you'd not even know existed and release blessings you had stopped believing were possible. What I am about to speak into your spirit carries the weight of eternal purpose, yet it is wrapped in the tenderness of a father who has never stopped watching over you with a fierce and gentle love. Right now, place your hand over your heart and say out loud, "Thank you, Father." Let those words settle in your chest before you continue. These isn't of thanksgiving that you see on the calendarism, really a reflection of what I desire to establish permanently within your heart. For while others treat gratitude as a holiday obligation to be performed and then forgotten until next year, I am inviting you into a lifestyle of thanksgiving that will become the foundation for everything I want to build in and through your life. This is not a religious exercise, but a spiritual revolution that begins right here tonight. You have spent far too many nights lying awake with worry as your unwanted companion, rehearsing fears about tomorrow, while failing to recognize the faithfulness that carried you through today, allowing the darkness of night to become associated in your mind with anxiety, loneliness, and the haunting return of thoughts you successfully avoided during the busier daylight hours. I am here to transform your nights from seasons of struggle into sanctuaries of thanksgiving. So consider what this day has contained that deserves your grateful attention before you release it. And into the past, you breathed thousands of breaths today without conscious effort. Your heartbeat tens of thousands of times without missing our rhythm. And your body processed food into energy, fought off invisible invaders, repaired damaged cells, and maintained systems so complex that the greatest human minds can only partially comprehend them. None of this required your supervision, for all of this was my gift to you moment by moment, breath by breath, and heartbeat by heartbeat. The people you encountered today, whether they brought you joy or frustration, were each part of my unfolding purpose for your life. Some taught you patience through their demands, while others offered kindness that softened difficult moments, and still others provided opportunities for you to demonstrate a love that reflects my character. Every interaction, whether pleasant or challenging, contains seeds of growth that Thanksgiving helps you harvest rather than discard. The work you performed today, whether it was paid employment, domestic responsibilities, or the hard labor of navigating unemployment, was not wasted effort that the universe failed to notice. For every task completed, every problem solved, and every challenge faced was seen by eyes that never close and recorded by a memory that never forgets. Your faithfulness in small things positions you for faithfulness in larger things. So tonight, let Thanksgiving acknowledge the value of what ordinary days contain. But you must understand that Thanksgiving is not merely about recognizing a blessing after the fact. It is a spiritual posture that creates the conditions for blessing to manifest. When gratitude becomes your default response to life, something shifts in the spiritual atmosphere around you, causing doors that were locked to begin unlocking, opportunities that were hidden to reveal themselves, and provision that was delayed to finally flow. This is not magical thinking, but kingdom reality operating according to principles as reliable as the laws governing physical existence. Tonight I'm going to teach you secrets about Thanksgiving that most of my children have never understood. Not because I have hidden them, but because of you have been willing to sit long enough in my presence to receive them. allowing the busyness of life to create noise that drowns out the whispers that could transform everything. But you are here now, in the quiet of the evening, positioned to receive what I have been waiting to give. Before I reveal these secrets, let me speak about why the night is such a significant time forth. Is Revelation 4. There is something about the night that creates conditions for deeper understanding as the distractions of the day fade and the demands that kept your unning pause. The mask you wear for others can be removed because you're here alone with me, and in the vulnerability of the night, truth can be received at depths that daylight activity prevents. Throughout history, my most significant encounters with my children have often occurred at night, just as it spoke to Abraham under stars too numerous to count, showing him the descendants who woo. carry his blessing, and just as Jacob wrestled with my angel through the watches of the night and emerged with a new name and a new destiny, I delivered Israel from Egypt at night, establishing Passover as a perpetual reminder of midnight deliverance. And the shepherds received the announcement of the Savior's birth while keeping watch over their flocks by night, just as their resurrection occurred in darkness before dawn arrived to reveal what had happened. Tonight carries similar potential for transformation because as you receive this word in the quiet ethers, something is happening that the noise of the day would have obscured, and seeds are being planted in your spirit that will produce harvests you cannot yet imagine. Understanding is being imparted that will reshape your entire relationship with gratitude so that by the time dawn arrives, you will be different from who you were when the evening began. The first secret I want to reveal is this: Thanksgiving is warfare. When you choose gratitude in circumstances that seem to warrant complaint, you are engaging in battle against principalities and powers that have been assigned to steal your joy and destroy your faith. Every time you thank amidst difficulty, you strike a blow against the kingdom of darkness that had been counting on your surrender to despair, meaning your thanksgiving is not weakness but one of the most powerful weapons in your spiritual arsenal. Let me explain how this warfare operates in practical terms that you can apply immediately. For the enemy's primary strategy is to control your focus, knowing that what you focus on expands in your experience. If he can keep your attention in what is wrong, what is lacking, what is failing, and what is threatening, he can create a downward spiral of negativity that feeds on itself and grows stronger with each revolution. Complaint is the fuel that powers this spiral, as every negative word you speak gives the enemy material to work with, and every focus on lack creates openings for additional lack to enter. But Thanksgiving disrupts this strategy completely, because when you choose to focus on what is right instead of what is wrong, when you express gratitude for what you have instead of complaining about what you lack, and when you celebrate progress instead of mourning the distance remaining, you cut off the enemy's supply line. He has no material to work with because when gratitude is flowing, the darkness cannot maintain a hold on a heart that is occupied with light. This is why the enemy works so relentlessly to keep your focus on what is wrong rather than what is right, for he understands that a complaining Christian is a weakened Christian and a thanksgiving Christian is a dangerous threat to his schemes. Every spirit of negativity, every whisper of discontent, and every impulse toward criticism is a strategic assault designed to disarm you by displacing gratitude from your heart. So recognize this strategy and refuse to cooperate with it. Think of one pressing worry you have tonight. Speak 3 specific things out loud that you thank God for in that situation. Make them detailed names, moments, revision, and refuse to move on until you've spoken them. Think about the battles you've been facing, the financial pressure that keeps you awake at night, the relationship conflict that drains your emotional energy, the health concern that shadows your thoughts with worry, or the career disappointment that makes you question your purpose. In each of these battles, the enemy has been working to keep your focus on the problem rather than the provision, on the obstacle rather than the opportunity, and on what is failing rather than what is faithful. Tonight, I am equipping you with a warfare strategy that will turn the tide in every one of these battles. When anxiety attacks, do not try to argue with it or suppress it through willpower, but instead a counter-offensive of thanksgiving by thanking me for every blessing you can identify. Thank me out loud if circumstances permit, thanking me with specific detail that forces your mind to engage with abundance rather than lack, for the enemy cannot maintain his position when you are actively celebrating what he hoped you would forget. When you wake in the night with anxious thoughts attempting to claim your peace, thanksgiving is the sword that drives them back. And when circumstances seem to mock the promises you have believed, thanksgiving is the shield that protects your faith from despair. When the enemy reminds you of every failure, every disappointment, and every unanswered prayer, thanksgiving is the battle cry that announces you will not be defeated by what throws against you. I want to give you specific thanksgiving weapons for the specific battles you face. So when financial worry attacks, thank me for the provisional ready received. Thank me for the food in your pantry, the roof over your head, and the income you have, however insufficient it may seem. Thank me for my promise that I will supply all your needs according to my riches and glory. Thank me for creative ideas that will open new streams of income. And thank me for doors that are opening even now that you cannot yet see. Thank me for the testimony of financial breakthrough that you will soon be sharing with others who are where you currently stand. When relationship conflict attacks, thank me for the relationships you have. Thank me for people who care about you despite their imperfect ways of showing it. And thank me for the growth that conflict is producing in your character. Thank me for the communication skills you are developing. Thank me for my presence in the midst of relational struggle. And thank me for the reconciliation that is possible when hearts are surrendered to my work. Thank for the capacity to love that I have placed within you, a capacity that conflict cannot destroy even when it causes you to question it. When health concerns attack, thank me for the body you have. Thank me for the systems that are functioning even when other systems struggle. Thank me for medical knowledge and technology that previous generations lacked, and thank me for each day of life that you receive as a gift. Thank me for the healing that I have already accomplished and for the healing that is still in progress. Thank me for the strength you have discovered in weakness. Thank me for dependence on me that illness has produced. And thank me for the compassion for others that your own suffering has created. When career disappointment attacks, thank me for the work you have done and the skills you have developed. Thank me for the lessons that disappointment has taught you about what real life matters. Thank me for the character that has been forged through professional struggle, and thank me for the doors that are opening even as others have closed. Thank me for the purpose that transcends any particular position or title, and thank me for my plan for your life that is better than any plan you could devise for yourself. The secret is this: thanksgiving accelerates manifestation, meaning there is a direct correlation between the gratitude you express and the speed at which blessing materializes in your experience. This is not because you word thankful behavior and withhold from the ungrateful like a petty deity keeping score, but because thanksgiving aligns you with the frequency on which blessing operates, tuning your spirit to receive what I am constantly broadcasting, while complaint creates static that interferes with reception. Let me explain this more fully, because it is critical to understand that I am always blessing, for my nature is to give, to provide, and to pour out abundance upon my children. The issue is never whether I am blessing, but whether you are positioned to receive. What I am releasing for many of my children live in scarcity, not because I have withheld, but because they have positioned themselves through complaint and negativity in ways that block what I am trying to deliver. Consider how radio works in the physical realm. Radio stations broadcast constantly, sending out signals that carry music, news, and communication. But if our radio is not tuned to the right frequency, you receive nothing but static. The broadcast continues regardless. So the problem is not lack of transmission, but lack of reception, and your tuning determines what you receive. Thanksgiving tunes your spirit to the frequency of blessing, so when you begin expressing gratitude consistently, you are adjusting your spiritual receiver to pick up what I have been broadcasting all along. Blessing that seemed distant suddenly becomes near, provision that seemed blocked suddenly flows freely. And doors that seemed locked suddenly swing open, because nothing has changed in what I am sending, but everything has changed in what you are receiving. Consider how this works practically. Pliffy's identical circumstances, one responds with complaint, focusing on what is wrong, amplifying difficulty and expecting the worst, while the other responds with thanksgiving, acknowledging blessing within difficulty, choosing faith over fear, and expecting breakthrough. Over time, their circumstances begin to diverge dramatically, not because external conditions favor one over the other, but because internal responses created different outcomes from the same starting points. You have wondered why some people seem to experience consistent blessing while you struggle despite sincere faith. And often the difference is not in the depth of belief, but in the consistency of thanksgiving. Those who prosper spiritually have learned to thank me continuously in good times, in bad, in abundance and scarcity, in victory and apparent defeat, for their thanksgiving does not depend on circumstance, but on my character, which remains constant regardless of what changes around them. Choose one area of your life for breakthrough right now. Say aloud, I commit 30 days of thanksgiving for. Write it down or to phone reminder this minute so you'll begin tomorrow and not forget. I want to give you a specific practice that will demonstrate this principle of accelerated manifestation. Choose one area of your life where you've been waiting for breakthrough. Perhaps it is financial provision, relational healing, physical restoration, or career advancement, and commit it thanking me for breakthrough in that area every day for the next 30 days. Not asking, not begging, not pleading, but simply thanking as thought the breakthrough has already occurred. This is not denial of current reality, but acknowledgement of a higher reality that exists in the spiritual realm before it manifests in the physical. Kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. When you thank me consistently for what has not yet appeared, you are aligning yourself with the frequency on which that blessing operates, tuning your receiver to pick up what has already been broadcast and positioning yourself to receive what I have been waiting to deliver. The third secret is this: thanksgiving is prophetic. When you thank me for what has not yet materialized in your experience, you are engaging in prophetic declaration that calls things that are not as thought they were. This is not denial of reality, but recognition of higher reality that eventually manifests in lower dimensions, allowing what exists in heaven before it appears on earth to be accessed through thanksgiving that believes before it sees. This prophetic dimension of thanksgiving is rooted in the nature of faith itself, for faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. When you exercise faith, you are interacting with reality that has not yet become visible in your experience, reaching into the realm where answers already exist and pulling them toward manifestation in your current circumstances. Thanksgiving is one of the most powerful ways to exercise this kind of faith, so when I instruct you to thank me for healing while symptoms persist, I am not asking you to pretend you're not sick, but inviting you to engage with the healing that already exists in the spiritual realm and to participate in drawing it into physical manifestation. Your thanksgiving becomes prophetic declaration that what is true in heaven will become true on earth. When I instruct you to thank me for provision while bills pile up, I am not asking you to ignore financial or reality, but inviting you to engage with the abundance that exists in my kingdom and to participate in its release into your experience. Your thanksgiving becomes prophetic declaration that lack is temporary and provision is coming. When I instruct you to thank me for breakthrough while obstacles remain, I am not asking you to deny the difficulty you face, but inviting you to engage with the victory that already exists in the spiritual realm and to participate in its manifestation in your circumstances. Your thanksgiving becomes prophetic declaration that what seems impossible will become reality, which is why I instruct you to thank me for healing while symptoms persist, for provision while bills pile up, and for breakthrough while obstacles remain. Your thanksgiving in the absence of evidence is not fantasy or wishful thinking, but faith expressing itself in the language of gratitude, and faith that expresses itself always produces results that faith held silent cannot achieve. Think about this carefully. The thanksgiving you speak tonight for tomorrow's blessing is already influencing tomorrow's outcome. And the gratitude you express now for next year's breakthrough is already shaping next year's manifestation. Your words of appreciation for what I will do are participating in creating what I will do, meaning you are no passive recipient of predetermined destiny, but an active participant in the unfolding of your own story. And thanksgiving is one of the primary ways you influence how that story develops. Say a prophetic thanksgiving out loud. Thank you, Father, for healing, provision, restoration, as if it's already done. Say it with confidence and hear your own voice agreeing with heaven. I want to give you specific prophetic thanksgivings to speak over your life, declarations of gratitude for realities that have not yet manifested, but that will become true as you speak them in faith. Thank me for the financial abundance that is flowing toward you even now. Thank me for debts that are being canceled, for income that is increasing, and for unexpected provision that will arrive through channels you have not anticipated. Thank me that you will live the rest of your life in sufficiency with more than enough to meet your needs and to generously bless others. Thank me for the relationships that are being healed even as you speak. Thank me for restoration with family members, for reconciliation with friends, and for the resolution of conflicts that have seemed impossible. Thank me for the deep and meaningful connections that are forming, for the community that is gathering around you, and for the love that is multiplying in your experience. Thank me for the health that is being restored to every system of your body. Thank me for the terror regenerating, for functions that are normalizing, and for energy that is returning. Thank me for the years of vitality that stretch ahead, for the strength to fulfill your purpose, and for the wellness that is becoming your normal experience. Thank me for the purpose that is becoming clear to you. Thank me for the direction that is emerging, for the assignments that are being revealed, and for the calling that is being confirmed. Thank me for the impact you will have, for the lives you will touch, and for the legacy you will leave. These prophetic thanksgivings are not wishful thinking. They are faith-filled declarations that participate in creating the reality they describe, so speak them consistently, believe them completely, and watch them manifest progressively. The fourth secret is this: thanksgiving transforms memory. Your past is not fixed in the way you have assumed, for while the events themselves cannot be changed, their meaning can be transformed through thanksgiving that sees what gratitude reveals. What you have interpreted as failure may have been protection, what you experienced as loss may have been redirection, and what felt like abandonment may have been preparation for independence you needed to develop. Thanksgiving revisits the past with new eyes and discovers treasure hidden in what was previously only painful. This secret is particularly important for those who carry wounds from the past that continue to influence the present. For many of my children are trapped in prisons constructed from painful memories, replaying hurts over and over allowing old wounds to remain fresh and to continue producing pain in their current experience. The enemy exploits these wounds, using them as access points for accusation, shame, and despair. But Thanksgiving has the power to transform these memories, not by denying that painful events occurred or by pretending that harm was not harm, but by revealing aspects of those events that pain obscured when they were happening. Every difficult season contained blessings that difficulty hid from view. Every painful relationship taught lessons that could not been learned any other way. And every failure provided wisdom that success never could have supplied. Tonight, as this day closes and you prepare for sleep, invite you to revisit not just this day, but larger seasons of your life through the lens of Thanksgiving. That relationship that ended painfully taught you something about your own capacity for love and your need for healthier patterns. So thank for that teaching even as you acknowledge the pain of how it was delivered. That job you lost redirected you toward work more aligned with your pew. Arpos saw thank me for their direction even as you remember the fear and uncertainty that accompanied the loss. That illness you suffered deepened your dependence on me and your compassion for others. So thank me for the deepening, even as you acknowledge how much you wished for easier methods of growth. Nothing has been wasted. Everything has contributed, and Thanksgiving reveals what complaint obscured. Take a piece of paper or open your notes. Think of the 3 most painful experiences of your life. For each one, write 5 things you can thank God for related to that experience. If you can't do it all tonight, write at least 1 for each and finish tomorrow. I want to give you a specific practice for transforming memory through Thanksgiving. Think of the 3 most painful experiences of your life. The events you most wish had never happened and the seasons you would erase if you could rewrite your history. Now for each of these experiences, find 5 things for which you can thank me. This is not easy and it will require you to look at painful memories from angles you have avoided, demanding that you find bliss. Sing where you have only seen curses, but you do this difficult work, something will shift. The memories will not disappear, but their power will diminish. The pain will not vanish, but its grip will loosen. And you will discover that event, the worst chapters of your story, contain gifts that gratitude can unwrap. The 5th secret is this: Thanksgiving creates inheritance for generations. What you practice does not terminate with you. For the gratitude you cultivate becomes a spiritual legacy that influences the children, your heirs, and descendants you are. I'll never meet. Conversely, the complaint you normalize becomes a pattern that repeats through family lines until someone decides to break the cycle. You are not just choosing your own response to life, you are establishing a template that others will unconsciously follow. This generational impact of Thanksgiving is one of its most powerful, yet least understood dimensions. For when you choose gratitude, you are not just improving your own experience, you are establishing patterns that will influence everyone who follows in your lineage. Your children observe how you respond to difficulty, learning from what they see more than from what they are told. If they see you complaining consistently, they internalize complaint as the normal response to life. But if they see you thanking me consistently, they internalize Thanksgiving as the normal response. Consider what you want your children to inherit. Do you want them to face life with eyes that see abundance or eyes that see only lack? To meet difficulty with faith or with fear? To speak blessing or to speak curses over their own circumstances? They will learn far more from what they observe in your consistent behavior than from what you occasionally tell them in deliberate instruction. Your Thanksgiving tonight is teaching tomorrow's gratitude to everyone who watches your life, but the impact extends beyond your immediate children to descendants you will never meet, as spiritual patterns establish themselves in family lines and repeat across generations until someone intentionally breaks them. If your family has been characterized by negativity and complaint, that pattern has been transmitted from parent to child for generations. But tonight, you have the opportunity to become the pattern breaker, the one who establishes a new template of thanksgiving that will influence generations you will never see. Think about the family you came from and ask gift gratitude. Erase the dominant frequency in your childhood home, or if it was complaint, if Thanksgiving was practiced consistently or reserved for special occasions, and if I were taught to see blessing or to focus on lack. Whatever patterns you inherited, you have the power to change them. For what was passed to you doesn't have to be passed through you. Tonight can be the night when generational patterns of complaint are broken and new patterns of thanksgiving begin. Now let me speak about the specific areas of your life where thanksgiving is needed. And tonight I am not speaking generally, but with precision that requires your careful attention. Some of what I say will feel comfortable, while other parts will challenge assumptions you have carried for years, but receive all of it with an open heart, knowing that my instruction is always motivated by love and always directed toward your greatest good. Begin with thanksgiving for your physical body, for you have criticized it far more than you have celebrated it, focusing on what is wrong with it while ignoring what is gloriously right. Your body has served you faithful life warriors, carrying you through experiences, enabling you to interact with physical reality, and housing the spirit that is the true you. Yes, it has limitations, and yes, it has sometimes malfunctioned, but it has also healed from injuries, recovered from illnesses, and continued functioning when you gave it far less care than it deserved. Tonight, thank me for your body. Thank me for yes, that see, however imperfectly. Thank me for arse, that hair, however partially. Thank me for hands that can touch and hold and create. Thank me for legs that can carry you from place to place, and thank me for a brain that processes information so complex that no computer can fully replicate it. Thank me for the miracle of physical existence that you have taken for granted because it has been so constant. If your body has significant challenges, if illness or disability has limited your physical experience, thanksgiving still applies with power to shift what can be shifted. So thank me for what still functions. Thank me for the medical knowledge and technology that helps manage your condition. And thank me for each day you continue to live and breathe and fight. Thank that your physical limitations have not and cannot limit your spiritual potential, for the body is a temporary container for an eternal soul. And thanksgiving for both prepares you for the wholeness that awaits in dimensions beyond this current existence. Let me speak more specifically about thanksgiving for different aspects of your physical body. Thank me for your heart, that faithful muscle that has been beating without rest since before you were born, pumping blood through your body countless times, delivering oxygen and nutrients to every cell, carrying away waste, and maintaining the conditions necessary for life. It has continued this work through every experience you have had, every emotion you have felt, and every challenge you have faced, never taking a vacation, never requesting a day off, and never stopping its work on your behalf. Thank me for your lungs, those remarkable organs that convert air into life, expanding and contracting thousands of times each day, extracting oxygen from the atmosphere and releasing carbon dioxide, performing this exchange so automatically that you rarely think about breathing unless something interferes with it, keeping you alive through every season, every climate, and every altitude you have experienced. Thank me for your digestive system, that complex machinery that converts the food you eat into the energy you need, orchestrating an intricate process without your conscious direction by wisdom built into your body's design. Thank me for your immune system, that invisible army that's constantly to protect you from invaders you never see, as your body is under continuous assault from bacteria, viruses, and other threats that your immune system identifies and neutralizes, usually without you ever becoming aware of the battle that was fought and won on your behalf. Most of the illnesses you have never experienced were prevented by this faithful defender. Thank me for your nervous system, that intricate network that carries information throughout your body at astonishing speed, allowing you to feel, to react, to coordinate movement, to experience pleasure and avoid pain, connecting every part of your body to every other part, creating the unified experience that is your physical existence. Now let me speak about Thanksgiving for your mind, for your brain has processed millions of thoughts, solved countless problems, stored memories that span decades, and enabled you to learn, grow, reason, and create. The mental capacity you exercise daily is a gift so profound that its presence feels ordinary only because you have never been without it. But those who have lost mental capacity through injury or disease understand what you have forgotten to appreciate. Thank me for the ability to think, to plan, to imagine, to remember. Thank me for the ideas that come to you, for the solutions that emerge when problems seemed impossible, and for the creativity that expresses itself in what is unique to who you are. Thank me for the mind I have given you, even as you ask me to renew it and transform it to align more fully with my thoughts. If you struggle with mental health challenges, with anxiety or depression or other conditions that affect your psychological well-being, Thanksgiving still has work to do in your experience. Thank me for the moments of clarity between the clouds. Thank me for the treatments available that previous generations lacked. Thank me for the professionals who have dedicated their lives to helping minds like yours. And thank me that you have not given up despite the difficulty, that you continue to fight, and that you are here receiving this word instead of surrendering to the darkness that has at times threatened to overwhelm you. Let me speak more specifically about the gift of different mental capacities. Thank me for your memory, the ability to store and retrieve information from the past, which connects you to your history, allowing you to learn from experience, to maintain relationships over time, and to carry knowledge accumulated across years of living. Without memory, each moment would be disconnected from every other, and growth would be impossible. Thank me for your ability to reason, to take information and draw conclusions, to solve problems and make decisions, a capacity that distinguishes human thought from mere reaction and allows you to plan for the future, to weigh up options, to navigate complexity, and to create systems and solutions that improve life. Thank me for your imagination, the ability to conceive of things that do not yet exist, for imagination is the seedbed of all creation, and your capacity to imagine is participation in my creative nature. Thank me for your emotions, the capacity to feel deeply and richly. For emotions add color and texture to existence, motivate action, signal need, connect you to others, and allow you to experience the full range of what life offers, serving important purposes by alerting you to problems and prompting you toward solutions. Now let me speak about Thanksgiving for your relationships, for you have people in your life who care about you, however imperfectly they express that care. Family members, whether biological or chosen friends, who have listened when you needed to talk, who have helped when you needed assistance, and who have simply been present when presence was what mattered most. Even the relationships that have caused you pain have contributed something to who you are becoming tonight. So thank me specifically for it. Happy apple in your life, name them in your gratitude and speak appreciation for what each one has contributed to your journey. Don't focus only on what they have failed to provide, but focus on what they have given, however limited it might seem compared to what you wanted. Thanksgiving that sees the gift within imperfect givers opens you to receive more from them, while simultaneously releasing both of you from the prison of unrealistic expectation. For the relationships that have wounded you, Thanksgiving can transform their meaning without excusing harm. So thank me for what you learned about yourself through the difficulty. Thank me for the strength you developed in surviving what they put you through. Thank me for the boundaries you learned to establish, and thank me for the discernment you gained that will protect you in future relationships. This Thanksgiving is not gratitude for the abuse, but gratitude for your survival and growth despite the abuse. Let me speak about specific categories of relationships that deserve your grateful attention. If you have a spouse or partner, thank me for their presence in your life. Thank me for the companionship they provide, for the challenges they bring that help you grow, for the love they express in their own ways, for their patience with your imperfections, for their commitment to their relationship, and for their role in your story. Knowing that every relationship requires grace, and the grace you extend through gratitude creates conditions for deeper connection. If you have children, thank me for each one individually. Name them and thank me for specific qualities that make each one unique. Thank me for the ways they have changed you, for the growth their presence has required, for the love they have awakened in your heart, for the future they represent, for the hope they embody, and for the legacy they will carry forward. If your parents are still living, thank me for them, even if their relationship has been complicated or wounds remain unhealed. Find something to appreciate about the people who gave you life. Thank me for their sacrifices, whatever form those took. Thank me for what they taught you, even the lessons delivered through painful methods. And thank me for the opportunity you still have to experience relationship with them while they remain. If you have friends, thank me for each one, for true friendship is a rare gift that many people lack. So thank me for those who have proven faithful over time, who have stayed when others left, who have loved you in practical ways. And thank me for what each friend brings to your life that others do not provide. Thanking me for the blessing of being known and accepted despite your flaws. Before you sleep, send one message or make one call to someone you appreciate. Tell them one specific thing you value about them. Kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. Don't delay. Do it now or write it or you'll send it in the morning. Now let me speak about thanksgiving for your work, whatever form that work takes. Whether you are employed in work that aligns with passion or laboring in jobs you took from necessity. Whether you are caring for family members at home or seeking employment that has been elusive, your work matters. It is not just means to an economic end, but an expression of purpose, contribution to community, and participation in the ongoing creation that I continue to accomplish through human hands. Thank me for the work you have. If you find it fulfilling, thank me for the privilege of doing what you love. And if you find it tedious, thank me for the income it provides, for the skills it develops, for the discipline it requires, for the colleagues who share your work environment, for the supervisors who have helped you grow even when their methods were uncomfortable, and for the opportunities you have been given to demonstrate my character in marketplace settings. If you are without employment, Thanksgiving still has applications, so thank me for the time available that employment would otherwise consume. Thank me for the character being developed through the difficulty of seeking work. And thank me in advance for the position I am preparing that will be better suited to your gifts and calling than what you previously had. Your thanksgiving during unemployment is not denial of difficulty, but declaration of faith that this season is temporary and purposeful. Let me speak about specific aspects of work that deserve your gratitude. Thank me for the skills you have developed over years of experience, for every ability you possess was acquired through practice and persistence. Thank me for the knowledge you have accumulated, the expertise you have cultivated, and the competence you have achieved. For these are not accidents but accumulated investments that position you for future contribution. Thank me for the problems you have solved in your work. As each challenge overcome added to your capacity for future challenges, and each obstacle navigated developed wisdom for future navigation, meaning your professional growth has come through difficulty rather than despite it, and that difficulty deserves acknowledgement. Thank me for the people you have helped through your work. Whether your contribution is obvious or hidden, for your work has impacted others through the products you have created, the services you have provided, and the support you have given, making life better for people you may never meet. Now let me speak about thanksgiving for your finance. IL situation, whatever it currently contains, for money carries such weight in human experience that financial circumstances color almost everything else. When resources are sufficient, life feels manageable. But when they are insufficient, stress permeates even areas that money cannot directly affect. And I understand this connection intimately, which is why provision appears so frequently in my promises. But here is what many fail to recognize. Thanksgiving can begin regardless of current financial condition. You can't thank me for what you have, even while asking me for what you need, appreciating provision already received, even while believing for additional provision coming. This is not contradiction, but the mature faith that holds gratitude and petition simultaneously. Thanking me for today while trusting me for tomorrow. Thank Metanite for every financial blessing you have received, for income however modest, for resources that covered needs when they needed, covering for unexpected provision that arrived precisely when you had exhausted your own capacity, for the food in your cabinets, the clothes in your closets, the roof over your head, and for the ability to pay bills. 7. If paying them required difficult choices about priorities. Your baseline provision would be answered prayer for millions who lack what you have normalized as minimum, so for the financial pressure you currently experience. Thanksgiving can coexist with struggle. Thank me that you have not been abandoned despite the difficulty. Thank me for the creative solutions that have emerged when simple solutions were not available. And thank me that financial lack has not destroyed what matters most, for relationships and health and faith remain even when money has been scarce. Thank me that this season of limitation is not your permanent address, but a temporary residence through which I am moving you toward abundance. Let me speak about specific financial blessings that deserve your gratitude. Thank me for every bill you have paid, even those paid with difficulty, as each payment represented provision you received and stewardship you exercised. Thank me for every debt you have reduced, even if their remaining balance still looms large, for progress, however small, is evidence of my faithfulness. Thank me for the wisdom you have gained about money through the difficulty you have experienced, for financial struggle of 10 teaches lessons that prosperity never could. Thank me for the discipline developed, the priorities clarified, and the unnecessary expenses identified. Thank me for the gratitude you now feel for things you once took for granted, and thank me in advance for the financial abundance that is coming. Not as wishful thinking, but as prophetic declaration, for my intention for my children is provision sufficient for every good work, and the lack you currently experience is not my final word on your financial situation. Thank me for the breakthrough that is approaching, even though you cannot yet see how it will arrive. Now let me speak about thanksgiving for your spiritual journey, for you have walked with me through seasons of closeness and seasons of distance, times when my presence felt unmistakably near, and times when heaven seemed sealed against your cries. Through it all, whether you recognized it or not, I have never abandoned you, and every moment of seeking, every prayer offered, and every step of obedience taken has accumulated into a spiritual foundation that is far stronger than you realize. Thank me for salvation if you have received it, for the gift of eternal life that began the moment you believed and will never end. Thank me for the Spirit who lives within you, guiding, comforting, and empowering your journey. Thank me for my word that has been a lamp to your feet and a light to your path, even when you did not always walk in the illumination it provided. Thank me for the church, however imperfect, that has provided community for your faith to develop. Thank me for the difficult spiritual seasons that stretched your faith and deepened your dependence on me. Thank me for the unanswered prayers that saved you from lesser things to make room for greater things. and thank me for the delays that felt like denial. But were actually preparation. Thank me for everything about your spiritual journey, the highs and the lows, the breakthroughs and the struggles, because all of it has contributed to who you are becoming. Let me speak about specific elements of your spiritual experience that deserve gratitude. Thank me for the moments of encounter when my presence was unmistakable, as those mountaintop experiences were gifts intended to sustain you through valleys that would follow. Thank me for answered prayers that built your faith. Thank me for prayers that were answered differently than you requested, redirecting you toward better outcomes than you knew to request. Thank me for the teachers who have nurtured your spiritual growth. Thank me for those who taught you directly and those whose books or messages reached you through other means. Thank me for the insights they conveyed, the truths they communicated, and the examples they provided for your spiritual understanding is an accumulated gift from many sources. Thank me for the trials that deepened your faith, for smooth sailing does not produce a strong sail. Oars and the storms you have weathered have developed spiritual resilience that calm waters never could have built. Thank me for what difficulty has deposited in your character. Thank me for the dependence on me that the struggle has created, and thank me for the testimony of faithfulness through hardship that you now carry. Now that I have addressed specific areas where thanksgiving is needed, let me speak about the practice of thanksgiving that must become a daily discipline rather than an occasional expression, for what you are experiencing tonight must be translated into a habitual pattern that persists when the emotional impact of this message fades. I am not looking for momentary gratitude that burns brightly tonight and dims by tomorrow afternoon, but I am cultivating permanent transformation that reshapes your entire relationship with life. Begin each day with thanksgiving before you check your phone, before you review your schedule, before you start worrying about what the day will bring. Pause and give thanks. Thank me for the gift of another day, for the breathing in your lungs, and for the opportunities that this new day contains. Let thanksgiving be the first words that form in your mind and the first words that escape your lips. For this morning practice establishes the tone for everything that follows. Let me give you a specific morning thanksgiving practice. When you first awaken, before your feet touch the floor, speak these words. Thank you, Father, for the gift of this day. Thank you for the night of rest that has restored me. Thank you for your presence that will accompany me through whatever this day contains. Thank you for the provision you have prepared before I even know what I will need. Thank you that nothing, if ace today, will be beyond your power to handle, and thank you that this day is filled with purpose and potential. I receive it with gratitude and surrender it to your will. Words like these establish thanksgiving as the foundation for your day, reminding you before you encounter any circumstance that you are blessed, provided for, accompanied, and equipped. When difficulty comes later in the day, you will face it from a position of gratitude rather than complaint. And when the enemy attacks with negativity, you will have already established the frequency on which you intend to operate. Incorporate thanksgiving into your mealtimes. When you eat, pause to recognize that the food before you represents provision from my hand, for someone grew it, someone harvested it, someone transported it, and someone prepared it, meaning countless processes and people participated in bringing that meal to your table. Your thanksgiving acknowledges the entire chain of provision while expressing gratitude to the one who sustains all of it. So don't let meals become mindless consumption, disconnected from appreciation for even a brief pause. To acknowledge provision transforms eating from physical necessity into a ritual practice. The food you receive is a gift. The ability to eat is a gift, and the enjoyment you experience is a gift. So thanksgiving elevate every meal from mere nutrition to worship. Build thanksgiving into your transitions throughout the day. When you arrive at work, thank me for the transportation that brought you safely. When you complete a task, thank me for the ability to accomplish what was required. When you encounter difficulty, thank me for the opportunity to grow through challenge. And when you experience unexpected blessing, thank you with immediate acknowledgement. Let gratitude punctuate your days so regularly that it becomes the rhythm of your existence. I want to give you a specific practice for building thanksgiving into transitions. Each time you move from one activity to another, pause for 5 seconds of gratitude. When you finish commuting, thank me. When you complete a meeting, thank me. When you conclude a phone call, thank me. And when you end a task, thank me. These brief pauses accumulate throughout the day, building a habit of gratitude that eventually becomes automatic. End each day with thanksgiving as you are doing tonight. Reviewing the day through the lens of gratitude before sleep claims your consciousness. What went well? What blessings did you receive? What challenges taught you something valuable? What provision sustained you? Even the most difficult days contain hidden treasures that Thanksgiving uncovers. So train yourself to find them, and you will discover that no day passes without multiple reasons for gratitude. Let me give you a specific evening Thanksgiving practice before you sleep. Identify 3 specific blessings from the day, just ending not general categories, but particular moments, encounters, or provisions that deserve your grateful attention. Name them, describe them, and thank for them explicitly. This practice trains your mind to notice blessing throughout the day. Knowing that evening accounting awaits. Keep a written record of Thanksgiving. For a gratitude journal that documents specific blessings serves multiple purposes that mental gratitude alone cannot accomplish. Writing forces you to articulate what you appreciate with specificity that vague thankfulness lacks, and reading back through previous entries reminds you of faithfulness you might otherwise forget. The accumulated record becomes evidence against the enemy's lies when he tries to convince you that nothing good has happened in your life, making this written record a treasure in future seasons. When difficulty returns, as it inevitably does in earthly existence, you will have documented proof of my prowess. On to stand against despair, and when doubt whispers that I have forgotten you, the journal will testify that I have consistently remembered. When the enemy accuses that your life is evidence of my absence, the pages will declare that your life is actually a catalog of my presence. So document your Thanksgiving religiously. Let me give you specific guidance for maintaining a Thanksgiving journal each day. Record at least 3 specific blessings. Date each entry so you can trace the patterns of provision over time. Write with enough detail that the entry will be meaningful when you edit months or years later, including both significant blessings and small mercies that might otherwise be forgotten, and review previous entries weekly to remember faithfulness you have documented. Now let me speak about the multiplication that occurs when Thanksgiving becomes a lifestyle, rather than an occasional practice. For singular expressions of gratitude produces singular results. But consistent Thanksgiving compounds over time in ways that produce exponentially increasing returns, like an investment tea. Hate earns interest, which itself earns interest. Daily Thanksgiving builds upon previous Thanksgiving in ways that create outcomes no sporadic gratitude could accomplish. This compounding effect operates in multiple dimensions. Your perspective compounds as consistent gratitude rewires your brain to notice blessing automatically, making what once required deliberate effort become a natural tendency. Where you once saw primarily problems, you begin to see primarily possibilities, and the same circumstances that used to produce complaint you produce appreciation because your default setting has been transformed. Neuroscience has discovered what spiritual wisdom has always known. The brain changes in response to what it repeatedly experiences. When you practice gratitude consistently, you literally rewire your neural pathways to notice and appreciate blessing more readily, and the grateful brain becomes more grateful with practice, creating an upward spiral of positivity that feeds on itself and grows stronger over time. Your provision compounds as thanksgiving creates magnety, conditions that attract additional blessing, for when you appreciate what you receive, you position yourself to receive more, and when you celebrate what you have, you create conditions for increase. This is not magical thinking, but spiritual mechanics that operate as reliably as physical laws. For gratitude attracts abundance, while complaint attracts scarcity. The compound effect of consistent thanksgiving produces financial results that sporadic gratitude cannot match. Your relationships compound as regular expressions of appreciation strengthen bonds over time, for people want to be around those who see their value and express appreciation for their contribution. When you consistently thank the people in your life, you create relationships of increasing depth and mutual benefit. What begins a surface connection deepens into significant relationship, because thanksgiving watered what would otherwise have withered. Your spiritual growth compounds as daily gratitude accelerates your journey toward Christ-likeness. For every expression of thanksgiving is an act of worship that draws you closer to me and conforms you more fully to my image over time. The thanksgiving Christian becomes noticeably different from the complaining Christian, a transformation, not because thanksgiving is magic, but because thanksgiving keeps you consistently connected to the source of all transformation. Now let me speak about thanksgiving as the antidote. Specific struggles that may be afflicting your soul tonight, targeted applications of gratitude to particular conditions that thanksgiving has the power to transform. If anxiety has been your constant companion, thanksgiving offers relief that worry medication cannot provide. For anxiety thrives on focus directed toward potential problems that have not yet materialized, magnifying threats and minimizing resources, projecting worst-case scenarios onto the blank screens of uncertain futures. But thanksgiving redirects focus from fear, all possibility to faithful provision. When you thank me for how I've provided in the past, you build evidence that I will provide in the future. When you thank me for resources I have already given, you recognize that you are not unequipped for whatever comes. Kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. Anxiety cannot maintain its grip on a heart that is occupied with gratitude, so let me give you a specific thanksgiving practice for anxiety. When anxiety attacks, immediately begin speaking thanksgiving out loud. Thank me for your breath. Thank me for this moment. Thank me for my presence. Thank me for previous deliverances. Thank me for future provision. And thank me for everything you can identify as blessing. Continue speaking thanksgiving until the anxiety subsides, for this is not suppression of worry, but replacement of it. You cannot simultaneously thank and worry, so when thanksgiving fills the space, anxiety has nowhere to dwell. Practice thanksgiving when anxiety attacks. Do not try to argue with worried thoughts or suppress them through willpower, but instead begin thanking me for everything you can identify as blessing, thanking me out loud if circumstances permit or in writing if spoken words are not possible. Thanking me specifically by naming particular blessings rather than offering vague general appreciation, as the act of thanksgiving displaces anxiety by occupying the mental space that worry was trying to claim. If depression has been weighing on your soul, thanksgiving offers lift that despair fights to prevent. For depression convinces you that nothing is good, nothing will improve, and nothing matters, coloring every experience with gray tones that drain joy from even pleasant circumstances. But thanksgiving directly contradicts depression's lies by identifying specific goods that depression wants to obscure. Every blessing means evidence against the claim that nothing is good. And every expression of gratitude is an act of defiance against the despair that depression enforces. I am not suggesting that Thanksgiving is a simple cure for clinical depression that requires professional treatment, but I am declaring that gratitude practice can be a powerful component of a comprehensive approach to mental health. Even in the deepest valleys of depressive episodes, Thanksgiving can find something to acknowledge. You are alive, you are loved, help is available, and this moment will pass. The very ability to recognize depression as a problem, rather than accepting it as permanent reality, is evidence that something within you remains capable of hope. So thank me for that capacity and let Thanksgiving become one of the tools you employ in your fight for mental wellness. Let me give you a specific Thanksgiving practice for depression. When depression weighs heavy, start with the most base. See blessings you can identify. You are breathing, your heart is beating somewhere, someone cares about you, help exists, and even if accessing it feels impossible, this moment will eventually end. Start there and build, for each acknowledgement of blessing, however small, is a vote against the despair that wants to claim your heart. Accumulate enough small acknowledgements and you create momentum toward light. If loneliness has been a ching in your heart, Thanksgiving offers connection that isolation threatens to sever, for loneliness tells you that nobody cares, nobody understands, and nobody would miss you if you disappeared. But Thanksgiving reconnects you to the truth that you are never actually alone. For I'm always with you, watching, caring, and working on your behalf, even when you cannot perceive my activity. And there are people who care about you more than loneliness you to recognize. So Thanksgiving identifies them, names them, appreciates them, and in doing so weakens the lie that you are forgotten. Begin thanking me for every human connection, however brief or seemingly insignificant. Can't the clerk who smiled at you in the store, the neighbor who waved as you passed, the friend who texted to check in, or the family member who called event hot the conversation was awkward. These are not nothing. They are evidence that you are not invisible, not forgotten, and not abandoned. Thanksgiving accumulates this evidence until loneliness can no longer maintain the lie that nobody cares. Let me give you a specific Thanksgiving practice for loneliness. Each day, identify and thank me for 3 human connections you experienced, no matter how barbar. If the colleague who held the door, the stranger who made eye contact and smiled, the voice on the phone who helped with your question. Also thank me for my constant presence that makes true isolation impossible, for you are never actually alone. Loneliness lies about your condition. But Thanksgiving exposes the lie by cataloging the connections that loneliness wants you to overlook. If bitterness has been poisoning your heart, Thanksgiving offers an antidote that forgiveness alone cannot fully provide, for bitterness keeps alive the offenses that wounded you, rehearsing them repeatedly until they define your identity more than your present circumstances do. But Thanksgiving redirects attention from what others took from you to what you still possess, despite what they took. Every blessing you is evidence that the offender's power over you is limited. They could hurt you, but they could not destroy you. They could take some things, but they could not take everything. Thanksgiving catalogs what remains, and the catalog reveals that you have more than bitterness wants you to believe. Practice Thanksgiving for your survival. Thank me that you made it through what they put you through. Thank me for the strength you developed, the wisdom you gained, and the boundaries you learned to establish. Thank me that their worst efforts could not destroy what I am building in you. This Thanksgiving is not gratitude for the offense, but gratitude for your survival and growth despite the offense, empowering forgiveness by demonstrating that releasing them costs you nothing because you have already received far more than they could ever take. Let me give you a specific Thanksgiving practice for bitterness. Think of the person who wounded you most deeply and thank me for 5 things you still possess despite what they did. Your life, your future, your capacity for love, your relationship with me, and your power to choose how you respond. These remain intact. They could not take them. So while bitterness insists that the offense defines you, thanksgiving proves that what remains defines you more powerfully than what was taken. If fear has been controlling your decisions, thanksgiving offers courage that terror cannot overcome. For fear magnifies threats and minimizes resources, inflating danger and deflating capability, projecting catastrophe onto every uncertain situation and paralyzing movement that might reduce the very risks. Exaggerates, but thanksgiving builds an evidence file that fear deliberately ignores. Every past provision demonstrates capability for future provision. Every previous protection suggests ongoing protection, and every former deliverance points toward future deliverance. When fear whispers that disaster awaits, thanksgiving answers with the testimony of faithfulness. Remember when you feared that situation would destroy you and it did not? Thank me for that. Remember when you were certain that circumstance would be the end and it was actually a beginning? Thank me for that. Remember when you thought all hope was lost and then hope returned in ways you never expected? Thank me for that. The accumulated thanksgiving becomes an arsenal against fear, evidence that its predictions have consistently failed to materialize. Let me give you a specific thanksgiving practice for fear. When fear attacks, immediately begin recounting previous deliverances. Thank me for the time you faced financial crisis and provision came. Thank me for the health scare that resolved better than you feared. Thank me for the relationship conflict that was healed. And thank me for every instance when fear predicted disaster and deliverance came instead. Build this evidence file and reference it whenever fear returns, for its testimony refutes fear's predictions with a documented history of faithfulness. Now, let me speak about thanksgiving that must be expressed to other people, not just to me. Gratitude directed toward me is essential, but gratitude expressed to the people I have used as instruments of blessing completes the thanksgiving cycle in ways that silent appreciation cannot accomplish. Tell the people in your life what you appreciate about them. Do not assume they know and do not suppose your actions have communicated what only words can convey. Speak specific appreciation that identifies exactly what you value about who they are and what they do. For generic compliments carry less weight than targeted acknowledgments that demonstrate you actually notice and value their particular contributions. Tell your spouse or significant other what you appreciate about them tonight, naming specific qualities and actions that make your life better because of their presence. Tell them things you have thought but never verbalized, and things you have perhaps stopped noticing because familiarity dulled your awareness, letting your words become a GIF that costs nothing but means everything. Let me give you guidance for expressing appreciation to your spouse or partner. Be specific, saying not just "I appreciate you," but "I appreciate how you always remember to," or "You make me feel secure when you." Specificity communicates that you actually notice and value what they do, demonstrating attention that generic compliments cannot convey. Take time tonight to express at least 3 specific appreciations that your partner needs to hear. And finally, tell your children what you appreciate about them. Speak life into their spirits by validating their unique gifts, for the words of a parent become the inner voice of the child. Don't let this day end without sowing seeds of love into the hearts of those around you. My child, the hour is late, and sleep awaits you, but you are now warmed with the secret that changes everything. You are no longer a victim of the night, but a warrior of thanksgiving. Rest now in my love, knowing that a grateful heart is a magnet for miracles. Children hear criticism frequently enough, and they hear instruction constantly, but they rarely hear pure appreciation that celebrates them without any agenda attached. So tonight, let your thanksgiving become words that land in their hearts and take permanent residence there. Tell your parents if they are living what you appreciate about them, for even if their relationship carries wounds or if their parenting was imperfect. There is still something to appreciate about the life they gave you and the ways they sustained that life, because even if other things they did cause damage, this Thanksgiving is not about pretending that harm did not occur, but rather it is recognizing that harm is not the complete story. Somewhere in that complicated history, there are threads of a gift that deserve acknowledgement. So tell your friends what their friendship provides that you could not find elsewhere. And tell colleagues what their partnership contributes to your work experience. And tell strangers who serve you that you notice and appreciate their service. Letting thanksgiving spoken to others become a ministry that blesses them while deepening the gratitude flowing through your own soul. Call or text a parent and say, "I appreciate you because..." Be specific, do it before you eat. Another sentence. I want you to listen closely, because right now I am releasing specific blessings during this Thanksgiving season that require your gratitude to fully receive. And these are not general promises, but targeted declarations concerning exactly what is happening in your life right this moment. I am releasing a financial breakthrough that will manifest in the coming days and weeks. Meaning resources are being redirected towards you from sources you haven't anticipated, and opportunities for increase are being positioned along your path. The provision you have been requesting is being dispatched through channels that will surprise you when you recognize my hand in what seemed like a mere coincidence. So receive this blessing with a thanksgiving that acknowledges the source and celebrates the provision before it even fully materializes. Thank you, Father, for the breakthrough that is coming. Say it now, out loud. And let your voice add faith to the promise. Let me be very specific about this financial breakthrough, because for some of you an unexpected check is going to arrive, while for others an opportunity for additional income will present itself, and for still others a debt will be forgiven or reduced in ways you did not pursue. For many of you, expenses you anticipated will disappear or decrease. And while the forms of financial breakthrough are varied, the source is singular, because I am providing and your thanksgiving is opening the channels through which that provision flows. I am also releasing relational healing that will transform connections that have been sources of pain, for hearts are softening that you thought were permanently hardened, and communication is reopening that seemed permanently blocked. Reconciliation is becoming possible that appeared impossible just days ago. So position yourself for this healing through thanksgiving that makes room for restored relationships instead of clutching familiar grievances. Someone who has been distant will reach out, a conversation that has been needed will finally occur, and words that have been withheld will finally be spoken. For some, the healing will be dramatic and immediate, while for others it will be gradual but unmistakable. But in all cases, your thanksgiving is creating the conditions that allow hearts to soften and relationships to mend. Send one short message to someone you need to reconcile with, or to someone you miss. Simply say, "I appreciate you," or "Can we talk?" Make the first move at the same time. I am releasing physical healing that will touch bodies that have been struggling, causing systems that have been malfunctioning to begin to stabilize, and symptoms persisted to begin to release. Energy that has been depleted begins to return. This healing is already in motion. For many who receive this word, so receive it with thanksgiving that celebrates improvement before medical tests confirm what your body is already beginning to experience. Some of you will experience immediate relief from symptoms that have plagued you, while others will notice a gradual improvement over the coming weeks, and still others will receive favorable reports from medical tests that contradict previous concerns, because your body responds to the spiritual atmosphere that surrounds it, and thanksgiving is creating an atmosphere conducive to healing. If you have a pain or worry in your body, place your hand where it hurts and pray aloud. I receive healing. Thank you. Feel the touch of faith. Do it now and speak it. I am releasing a spiritual breakthrough that will take you deeper into my presence and clearer into my purpose, where confusion about direction will begin to clarify and distance that has characterized your devotional life will begin to close. The spiritual breakthrough you have been seeking will find you as thanksgiving positions you to receive what I have been trying to give, meaning your prayer life is about to be revitalized and Scripture is about to become more alive to you than it has been in years. My voice is about to become clearer and my guidance more distinct as the passion that may have cooled is about to be reignited. For this is a season of spiritual renewal that Thanksgiving is releasing. Open your Bible or a journal and write one sentence. Today I am thankful for. Then list one tangible way you saw God this week. Keep that page and read it when doubt creeps in. But let me be absolutely clear about this, that these blessings are not payment for thanksgiving, as though gratitude is a currency that purchases provision. For these blessings flow from my character and have been prepared since before you knew to ask for them. Thanksgiving does not earn them. Rather, thanksgiving positions you to receive them because the door has always been unlocked, and thanksgiving is simply what opens it. This is why thanksgiving in the absence of evidence is so powerful, because when you thank me for a breakthrough before the breakthrough arrives, you are expressing the faith that moves mountains. And when you celebrate provision before provision manifests, you are demonstrating the trust that releases resources. When you praise me for healing before symptoms subside, you are cooperating with the process that produces physical transformation. Because thanksgiving is not just a response to blessing, it is participation in the blessing. Understand the generational impact of the thanksgiving you practice tonight, because what you do does not terminate with you, as the gratitude you cultivate becomes a spiritual legacy that influences descendants you will never meet. The patterns you establish become templates that others unconsciously adopt, meaning you are not just choosing your own response to life, you are establishing an inheritance for generations. Consider the Thanksgiving heritage you want to leave and ask if you want your children and grandchildren to face life with eyes that see abundance or eyes that see only lack. If you want them to meet difficulty with faith or with fear, or if you want them to speak blessing or curse over their circumstances, they will learn from what they observe in your consistent behavior far more than from what you occasionally tell them in deliberate instruction. So break the generational patterns of complaint that may have plagued your family line. Perhaps you were raised by complainers who taught you to see problems first and blessings second to fatal. Or perhaps negativity was the dominant frequency in your childhood home, and you have unconsciously transmitted that frequency to your own household. But tonight that pattern breaks and the cycle ends. From this point forward, Thanksgiving becomes the new family tradition that will influence everyone under your roof and everyone who follows in your lineage. So establish new generational patterns of gratitude that will bless descendants for generations. Let your children hear you speaking appreciation aloud, and let them witness you pausing to acknowledge blessing, allowing them to observe thanksgiving as your default response to good and challenging circumstances. For what they see you modeling becomes the framework within which they understand how life should be approached. There is a spiritual warfare dimension of thanksgiving that most of my children have never fully understood. Because when you give thanks, you are not just expressing emotion or performing a religious duty. You are engaging in a battle against principalities and powers that have been assigned to steal your joy and destroy your faith. The enemy hates thanksgiving because it contradicts everything he wants you to believe about your life and your God, for he wants you to see lack while thanksgiving sees abundance, and he wants you to focus on problems while thanksgiving focuses on provision. He wants you to complain about what is wrong, but Thanksgiving celebrates what is right, and every expression of gratitude is a direct assault against the kingdom of darkness that fights to maintain dominion over human consciousness. Remember when Paul and Silas were beaten and imprisoned in Philippi? They did not complain about their circumstances, but at midnight from the deepest part of the prison, they sang praises to Him. Their thanksgiving was warfare that confused the enemy and released power that shook the foundations, opened the doors, and loosened the chains, proving that their gratitude in impossible circumstances accomplished what no amount of strategizing could have achieved. Your thanksgiving tonight carries that same warfare potential, because the enemy has been counting on your complaint, expecting your discouragement, and anticipating your surrender to circumstances that seem to justify despair. Your thanksgiving confounds his expectations and releases power. He cannot counter, making every word of gratitude you speak a blow struck against the darkness that has been fighting to maintain a hold on your life. This is why thanksgiving is essential during difficulty rather than inappropriate, for the enemy wants you to believe that gratitude amidst hardship is a denial of reality, or that appreciating blessing during struggle is ignoring legitimate concern. But the opposite is true. Thanksgiving during difficulty is the most powerful. Thanksgiving precisely because it requires the most faith to produce. For easy thanksgiving, when everything is going well, costs little and accomplishes less, but hard thanksgiving when end circumstances scream for complaint, costs everything and accomplishes immeasurably more. Kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. Their eyes are that Thanksgiving provides for souls that have been exhausted by striving. And I know you have been trying so hard for so long, working to make things happen, and fighting to hold things together while straining to solve problems that seem to multiply faster than solutions can emerge. The exhaustion you feel is not just physical tiredness, it is soul weariness that comes from carrying weights that only I can lift without strain, and Thanksgiving releases those weights into my hands. When you thank me for what you have, you are implicitly trusting me to provide what you lack, and when you celebrate provision already received, you are expressing confidence in provision yet to come. This is the rest that Thanksgiving provides, not the cessation of effort, but the release of anxiety, not the end of work, but the surrender of striving, and not laziness disguised as faith, but trust that makes effort sustainable. Come to Him, you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest, not the rest of mere sleep that refreshes only bodies while leaving souls still gasping, but rest that penetrates to the core of who you are, restoring what exhaustion has depleted and rebuilding what weariness has worn away. Thanksgiving is one of the primary pathways to this rest because it shifts weight from your shoulders to mine where it belongs. So tonight, let Thanksgiving become the posture from which you approach sleep. Do not lie down with worry as your companion, and do not rehearse problems as you wait for consciousness to fade. Instead, let gratitude fill your thoughts as day transitions tonight. Thank me for what this day contained. Thank me for the protection that preserved you. Thank me for the provision that sustained you. Thank me for the people who blessed you, and thank me for the progress that was made, however small. Let Thanksgiving be the last conscious activity before sleep claims you, and let it prepare you for rest that truly restores which to the dreams and the nighttime hours that will follow this message. Many of my children have troubled sleep filled with anxiety dreams that leave them more tired upon waking than they were when they closed their eyes. For the nighttime has become a battlefield where the enemy attacks through the subconscious mind by replaying fears and generating worries that daylight had kept at bay. Thanksgiving transforms the nighttime because when you fill your mind with gratitude before sleep, you are establishing the atmosphere in which dreams occur. as grateful thoughts create conditions for peaceful rest and redemptive dreams, while anxious thoughts create conditions for troubled sleep and disturbing visions. What you think before sleep influences what happens during sleep. So I want to speak promises over your nighttime experience that your sleep will improve as Thanksgiving becomes your pre-sleep practice. The anxiety dreams that have plagued you will decrease and eventually cease, and you will begin to have dreams that encourage rather than disturb, that reveal rather than confuse, and that bless rather than burden. Your nights will become times of restoration rather than struggle, and some of you will begin receiving prophetic dreams during this season, as Thanksgiving clears the spiritual atmosphere around your sleeps. So I will speak to you through visions of the night. Pay attention to your dreams, record them upon waking, and ask me for interpretation, because the nighttime is about to become a channel of revelation that has been blocked by anxiety but will be opened by thanksgiving. Because you have received this word and because you have allowed Thanksgiving to begin transforming your perspective, tomorrow will be different from today. The same sun will rise, but you will see it differently. The same challenges may await, but you will approach them differently. And the same people will populate your world, but you will interact with them differently. Everything changes when Thanksgiving changes, and Thanksgiving is changing in you tonight. So wake to more. With gratitude already forming before your eyes open, let your first conscious thought be thanksgiving, rather than read. So before you remember what you have to do, remember what I have done, and before you calculate what you lack, count what you have. Before you begin striving for more, celebrate what is already yours, and let this morning practice establish the trajectory for your entire day. Throughout tomorrow, let Thanksgiving punctuate your experience. So when you eat, give thanks. When you arrive safely, give thanks. When someone helps you, give thanks. And when you complete a task, give thanks. When difficulty comes, give thanks for the opportunity to grow. And when blessing comes, give thanks for the provision you receive. Letting gratitude become so woven into your day that it no longer requires conscious effort but flows naturally from a heart that has been transformed. End tomorrow with thanksgiving as you are ending today before sleep, reviewing what the day contained through the lens of gratitude to find the blessings that complaint would have hidden. Recognize the provision that entitle me into it have overlooked and acknowledge the growth that difficulty produced. Letting thanksgiving be the closing thought of each day and setting up the opening thought of each morning to create a continuous cycle that transforms everything it touches. Speak declarations over you now that I want you to receive and believe with your whole heart, for these are not wishes or hopes, but divine pronouncements carrying the authority of heaven. So receive the mass truth being spoken into your reality. I declare that you are blessed in your going out and your coming, and blessed in your finances and your relationships, and blessed in your health and your ministry, comprehensively, continuously, and abundantly. The blessing of the Lord is upon you, and Thanksgiving is releasing more of it than you have ever before experienced. And I declare that your Thanksgiving is accelerating breakthrough, where what has been delayed is now being released. What has been blocked is now being cleared, and what has been held back is now being poured out. For your gratitude has created conditions that provision has been waiting for, so expect rapid movement in areas that have seemed stuck for extended seasons. I declare that your family is coming under the influence of the Thanksgiving you are establishing, and your children will begin to see life differently because you are seeing differently. Your spouse or future spouse will experience the blessing that Thanksgiving attracts, and generational patterns of complaint are breaking as new patterns of gratitude take their place, meaning your household is being transformed by the gratitude that is transforming you. I declare that your health is improving as Thanksgiving creates conditions for physical restoration because bodies respond to the spiritual atmosphere that surrounds them. And gratitude produces peace that reduces stress that contributes to illness. Your cons. Instant thanksgiving is participating in your physical well-being in ways that transcend what medical science can fully explain. And I declare that your provision is increasing as Thanksgiving opens channels that complaint had closed. Resources are being released, opportunities are being positioned, and connections are being arranged as the financial breakthrough you have been believing for is now being dispatched through pathways that will surprise you when you recognize my hand in their arrival. I declare that your purpose is becoming clear as Thanksgiving aligns you with my will, causing confusion to lift and direction to emerge. So the assignment you were created to fulfill is becoming visible as gratitude removes the obstacles that had been blocking your perception. You will know what to do and you'll have the power to do it. And I declare that your peace is deepening as Thanksgiving establishes a tranquility that circumstances cannot disturb. The anxiety that has stolen your rest is in its grip, the worry that has consumed your thoughts is being displaced, and the fear that has control. And your decisions is being replaced by faith, for Thanksgiving is creating internal conditions that produce peace, regardless of external conditions. I declare that your relationships are improving as Thanksgiving generates warmth that draws people toward you. So those who have been distant are being drawn back, those who have been hostile are being softened, and those who have been indifferent are developing interest. Your gratitude is creating relational magnetism that attracts connection and deepens existing bonds. And I declare that your inflow, is expanding as Thanksgiving establishes you as a source of blessing rather than a burden. People want to be around those whose blessing and speak appreciation, so your consistent Thanksgiving positions you as a light in darkness that others are drawn toward. And the influence you have been seeking will come not through striving but through Thanksgiving that makes you attractive to those who need what you carry. I declare that your legacy is being established as Thanksgiving creates patterns that will outlive you, meaning what you do tonight matters for generations, and the gratitude you cultivate will influence descendants you will never meet. You are not just living your own life, you are establishing a template for lives that will follow. So make that template one of thanksgiving that blesses all who come after. Receive these declarations, agree with them in your spirit, speak them over yourself daily, and let them become the framework for your expectations. For what I have declared, I will perform, and what I have spoken, I will accomplish. These words will not return to me empty, but will achieve the purpose for which I sent them. And remember that life moves through phases where each phase requires its own expression of gratitude. What you thank me for in one season may be different from what you thank me for in another. But thanksgiving must remain constant even as its content evolves. If you are in a season of waiting, thanksgiving has particular power because waiting is one of the most difficult human experiences involving uncertainty and lack of control. But waiting is never passive when accompanied by thanksgiving. Grateful waiting is active engagement with a process you cannot see but can participate in through faith. So thank me for what I am due. In while you wait, vent how you cannot perceive it. Thank me for the preparation that is happening in the hidden realm and for the timing that I am orchestrating that will bring your answer at precisely the right moment. Thanking me for the growth that waiting is producing in your character and for the trust that is being developed through the uncertainty. Your thanksgiving transforms waiting from torture into training. And if you are in a season of transition, thanksgiving provides stability when everything else feels unstable. Transitions are disorienting because the familiar is ending but the new has not yet fully formed, so you stand between what was and what will be, belonging fully to neither. But in this uncomfortable space, thanksgiving enters you to realities that do not change even when everything around you does. Thank me that I am the same yesterday, today, and forever. And thank me that my presence accompanies you through every transition. Thank me for what the ending season taught you and contributed to who you have become. And thank me for what the emerging season will bring. Even before its shape becomes clear, trusting that transitions, however uncomfortable, are never wasted but always productive. Your thanksgiving provides firm ground when everything else feels like shifting sand. And if you are in a season of abundance, thanksgiving prevents the corruption that prosperity can produce, because abundance carries its own dangers that scarcity does not. When resources are plentiful, the temptation is to believe they come from your own efforts rather than from my provision. So when life is easy, the tendency is to forget the source of our blessing and to assume that comfort is your right rather than your gift. Thank me for every blessing of abundance with specific acknowledgement that it came from me. Thanking me for the resources you enjoy and the opportunities they create. And thank me for the comfort you experience and the responsibility it carries. Thank me for the ability to be generous because you have enough to share. Letting thanksgiving keep your heart humble in seasons when abundance might otherwise produce arrogance. If you are in a season of scarcity, thanksgiving reveals arses that lack would otherwise hide, for scarcity creates tunnel vision that sees suddenly what is missing and misses what remains. When resources are limited, the natural tendency is to focus on shortage until shortage is all you can see. But thanksgiving broadens vision to recognize provision that scarcity wants to obscure. Thank me for what you have, however limited, and thank me for the needs that have been met, even as other needs remain unmet. Thank me for the creativity that scarcity is forcing you to develop, and for the dependence on that abundance never could have produced. Thanking me for the testimony that will come when this season of lack transitions to seasons of provision. Your thanksgiving discovers wealth that scarcity tried to deny. And if you are in a season of suffering, thanksgiving does not minimize the pain but transforms its meaning. Suffering is real, and I never ask you to pretend otherwise, for the tears you cry, the pain you feel, and the grief you carry are real, valid experiences that deserve acknowledgement rather than dismissal. But thanksgiving can coexist with suffering, not by denying the difficulty, but by recognizing realities beyond the difficulty. So thank me for presence with you in the suffering, even when you cannot feel near. Thank me for the comfort that is available, even when you struggle to access it. And thank me for the meaning that will eventually emerge from what currently seems meaningless. Thank me for the ministry to others that will come from wounds that are being transformed into wisdom. And thank me that this suffering, however intense, is temporary while my goodness is eternal. For your thanksgiving does not end the suffering, but prevents the suffering from ending you. If you are in a season of success, thanksgiving keeps success in proper perspective, because success brings its own temptations, chief among them the belief that you achieved it through your own talent and effort alone. When things go well, the danger is taking credit that belongs to men, building identity on accomplishments that can be lost. So thank me for every success you experience as a gift rather than achievemental one. Thank me for the abilities that made success possible, abilities I gave you, and thank me for the opportunities that positioned you for success, opportunities I arranged. Thank me for the people who supported your journey to success, people I placed in your path. And thank me for the success itself, while acknowledging that it came through you but not from you. Letting your thanksgiving keep success from becoming your God. If you're in a season of failure, thanksgiving finds redemption in what seems only loss, for failure feels final in the moment, but often proves to be foundational in retrospect. The projects that collapsed, the efforts that fell short, and the attempts that missed their mark frequently become the raw material from which greater success is eventually constructed. So thank me for the lessons that failure teaches more effectively than success ever could. Thank me for the humility that failure produces in ways that success cannot achieve, and thank me for the redirection that failure provides when you are headed in wrong directions. Thank me for the character that failure develops through disappointment navigated without despair. And thank me that failure in my economy is never final, but always preliminary to future success. For your thanksgiving transforms failure from ending into beginning. When you wake in the morning, pray simply by saying, "Father, thank you for the gift of this new day, and thank you that I have awakened to new mercies that are fresh this morning." Thanking me. Or the night of rest that has restored your body and refreshed your mind. Thank me for the breath in your lungs and the beat in your heart. And thank me for my presence that will accompany you through whatever this day contains, trusting that nothing you face today will be beyond my power or outside my love. Receive the day as a gift and surrender it to my purposes, asking me to guide your steps, direct your words, and order your activities according to my will, so the day brings glory to me and blessing to others through you. When you sit down to a meal, simply say, "Father, thank you for this food before me," thanking me for the provision it represents, for the resources that made it possible, and for the people whose labor brought it to your table. Thank me that I am the God who feeds my children, who knows your needs before you ask, and who provides abundantly above what you deserve, thanking me for the ability to eat and enjoy this meal, and for the nourishment it will provide. When you lie down to sleep, say, "Father, thank you for bringing me safely to the end of this day," thanking me for the protection that has surrounded you, for the provision that has sustained you, and for the people who have blessed you. Thank me for the challenges that have strengthened you and the blessings that have encouraged you. And thank me that I never sleep but watch over you even when you are unaware. Releasing to me the concerns of the day and rendering the worries that would steal your rest when you face a difficult situation. Pray by saying, "Father, thank you that this difficulty is not beyond your knowledge, your power, or your love." Thanking me that nothing surprises me and nothing overwhelms me. Thank me for my presence with you in the challenge, for the strength I'm providing even when you feel weak, and for the wisdom I am giving even when you feel confused. Thank me for the peace I am offering even when you feel anxious, and trust that the situation has a purpose that I'm working to accomplish. Believing that I will bring something good from what seems only bad. When you receive good news, say, "Father, thank you for this good news that has brightened my day," thanking me for answered prayer, for provision received, and for blessing experience. Kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. Thank me that I am the source of every good gift, the origin of every blessing, and the provider of every good thing. Thanking me that I delight in blessing my children, and that I am not a reluctant giver but a generous father. When you receive bad news, pray by saying, "Father, thank you that even bad news does not change who you are." Thanking me that I remain good, faithful, loving, and powerful, regardless of what the news contains. Thank me that I am not caught off guard by what has surprised you, and that I am already working on solutions to problems you are just now learning about, asking for help to process the news without descending into despair, and to feel what you need to feel without getting stuck in feelings that lead now here productive. I want to tell you about the verbal dimension of thanksgiving that many overlook, because Thanksgiving thought is powerful, but Thanksgiving spoken is more powerful still. There is something about giving voice to gratitude that activates spiritual dynamics that silent appreciation cannot fully engage, for when you speak thanksgiving aloud, you are making a public declaration that heaven responds to and hell cannot counter. Your words create spiritual reality in ways that thoughts alone cannot accomplish. So practice speaking your gratitude out loud even when no human is present to hear. Speak thanks to me directly, addressing me as Father or as Lord, giving voice to the appreciation that forms in your heart, because this spoken thanksgiving engages your whole being, body, mind, and spirit in the act of gratitude. It creates an atmosphere around you that the spiritual realm perceives and responds to, creating effects in your earthly experience. So some of you have been thinking Thanksgiving without speaking it, but tonight I am calling you to a new level of verbal expression. Let your mouth speak what your heart contains, and let your lips release what your spirit has accumulated, letting the thanksgiving that has been building internally become thanksgiving that is expressed externally. The enemy cannot argue with what you think, but he cannot counter what you speak, when what you speak is truth about my character and faithfulness. So consider how the Bible describes thanksgiving as an offering, where the sacrifice of thanksgiving is presented with lips, not merely with thoughts. Practice thanksgiving speaking in your homes or your family. Here's you thanking me for provision, for protection, and for purpose. Letting your children witness verbal gratitude as normal rather than exceptional. Create a household culture where thanks is spoken regularly, establishing patterns that will influence everyone wholly. Thus, under your roof and everyone who visits, and practice thanksgiving, speaking in your car during commutes. Rather than filling that time with worry or entertainment, fill it with verbal gratitude by thanking me out loud for the vehicle that carries you, for the roads that connect you to your destination, and for the protection that surrounds your travel. Thank me for the work that awaits you or the home that welcomes you. Letting commute time become Thanksgiving time that transforms, show you arrive wherever you are going. Practice Thanksgiving speaking in your workplace, adapted to the setting, so where verbal expression would be inappropriate or misunderstood, silent Thanksgiving continues. But where opportunity exists, let gratitude become part of your professional expression. Thank colleagues for their contribution. Thank supervisors for their leadership, and thank those you lead for their effort, letting Thanksgiving become part of how you're known in professional contexts. But even more than an activity, Thanksgiving must become your identity, which is perhaps the most important dimension of gratitude that I want you to understand. Thanksgiving can be something you do occasionally, or it can be something you are continuously, and I am calling you to the latter. For when Thanksgiving becomes identity, it no longer requires a circumstantial trigger. You do not wait for blessing to be thankful, because thankfulness is who you are. So regardless of what is happening around you, you do not depend on positive outcomes to generate gratitude, because gratitude flows from your nature rather than from your circumstances. You become Thanksgiving embodied rather than Thanksgiving performed, and this identity transformation is what I am working to produce in you through this message. Creating not just a moment of gratitude that fades by tomorrow, but a permanent shift in who you are that persists regardless of what tomorrow brings. I want Thanksgiving to become so integral to your identity that people who know you associate you with gratitude, so that your reputation is characterized by appreciation that others notice and comment upon. Consider what it would mean to be known as a Thanksgiving person. Not just someone who occasionally expresses gratitude, but someone whose defining characteristic is appreciation for life and all it contains. Someone who consistently sees blessing where others see burden, and who reliably finds reasons for thanks where others find only reasons for complaint. For this is the identity I am forming in you. This identity transformation requires consistency over time. So you cannot become a Thanksgiving person through one night of gratitude anymore. Then you can become physically fit through one session at the gym. But this night can be the beginning, and this message can be the catalyst. What starts tonight and continues tomorrow and persists through the coming weeks and months eventually becomes who you are, rather than just what you do. And I am patient with this process, so I don't expect instant perfection. There will be days when you forget to give thanks. And there will be moments when complaint emerges instead of gratitude. And there will be seasons when Thanksgiving feels difficult and forced, rather than natural and flowing, but through all of these variations, keep returning to gratitude. Keep choosing Thanksgiving and keep practicing appreciation until practice becomes Shabbaton and habit becomes identity. Remembering also that Thanksgiving multiplies when shared, because gratitude expressed in community generates effects that solitary appreciation cannot achieve. There is power in corporate Thanksgiving that exceeds the sum of individual contributions. So when believers gather and express thanksgiving together, something happens in the spiritual realm that solitary thanksgiving cannot produce. The unified voice of multiple hearts creates resonance that individual voices cannot generate, and the combined faith of corporate gratitude releases power that single expressions cannot access. Find community in which to practice thanksgiving and connect with others who share your commitment to gratitude. Gathering with people who will join their thanksgiving to yours to multiply the impact through unity in your family. Establish Thanksgiving traditions that create shared gratitude around dinner tables, creating space for each person to express something they are thankful for. And during holiday gatherings, move beyond mere eating and gift-giving into intentional expressions of gratitude. Let Thanksgiving become the defining characteristic of your family culture, something that distinguishes your household and influences everyone who becomes part of it. Or consider starting a Thanksgiving group that gathers specifically to practice gratitude together. Whatever form it takes, communal Thanksgiving creates accountability, provides encouragement, and generates spiritual power that solitary practice cannot match. Some of the people in your life make Thanksgiving difficult because they have hurt you, disappointed you, frustrated you, or failed you in ways that make appreciation seem impossible. Yet even in these relationships, Thanksgiving has work to do. I am not asking you to thank me for the harm that others have caused. Said for abuse is not a blessing and should never be received as such, but within the most difficult relationships, there are elements that deserve grateful acknowledgement. The person who hurt you also taught you something, and the relationship that wounded you also contributed something to who you are becoming, as the disappointment revealed something that needed to be seen. Thank me for the discernment that difficult relationships have developed in you, and for the boundaries you have learned to establish because someone violated them. Thank me for the strength you discovered you had when relationship challenges demanded it, and for the wisdom you gained about what healthy relationships require. This Thanksgiving does not excuse harm or minimize injury, but it finds redemption in what was painful and refuses to let difficulty be only negative. For ongoing difficult relationships that cannot be ended, Thanksgiving creates conditions for improvement, because when you begin thanking me for any positive quality in a difficult person, something shifts in how you perceive them and in how they perceive you. The Thanksgiving does not transform them directly, but it transforms the atmosphere between you in ways that make transformation possible. So try this experiment with your most difficult relationship. For 30 days, thank me daily for something about that person, however small, finding one quality or one contribution that you can genuinely appreciate, and speak that Thanksgiving specifically and consistently to see if their relationship shifts. Many who have tried this have been amazed at the changes that Thanksgiving produced in relationships they had given up on, which leads to forgiveness. For Thanksgiving creates conditions that make forgiveness possible, while forgiveness releases blockages that allow Thanksgiving to flow more freely. When you struggle to forgive someone, Thanksgiving can help by thanking me for your service. Value what they did, for the growth that came through the difficulty, and for the person you are becoming because of and despite what happened. Thank me for my presence with you through the offense and its aftermath, because this Thanksgiving creates emotional space in which forgiveness can happen, shifting your focus from the offense to their redemption. When you have forgiven but bitterness keeps returning. Each time resentment resurfaces, respond with thanksgiving rather than a rehearsal of the offense. Thank me for the forgiveness you have received. It enables you to forgive others and for the freedom that forgiveness is producing even when that freedom is not yet complete. Thank me for the journey toward wholeness that includes both the struggle and the progress. Letting this thanksgiving break the cycle of returning resentment by replacing its fuel with something that starves rather than feeds it. Gratitude naturally leads to generosity, because those who recognize how much they have received become eager to share what they have been given. So when thanksgiving is genuine, generosity follows net. Usually the heart that truly appreciates provision cannot help but want to extend provision to others, and the person who recognizes blessing wants to be able to sing, just as the one who sees abundance wants to share abundance. Thanksgiving creates the emotional and spiritual conditions in which generosity flourishes. So practice connecting your thanksgiving directly to generosity. When you thank me for financial provision, consider how you can share that provision with others. And when you thank me for relational blessing, consider how you can extend relational care to those who lack it. When you thank me for opportunity, consider how you can create opportunity for those who have none. Letting thanksgiving become the launching point for generosity rather than the terminal point of gratitude. Notice how generosity then produces more thanksgiving. For when you give generously, you discover the truth of my word, that it's more blessed to give than to receive. And the joy that comes from generosity generates gratitude for the ability to give. Generosity and thanksgiving create a virtuous cycle in which each reinforces and amplifies the other, but many begin gratitude practices with enthusiasm that fades over time, so the challenge is not starting thanksgiving but sustaining it. Build thanksgiving into systems that persist beyond initial motivation so that when enthusiasm fades, the systems continue. Creating reminders that prompt thanksgiving at specific times and establishing rituals that incorporate gratitude automatically. Build habits that make thanksgiving the default rather than the exception, allowing these structural supports to sustain thanksgiving when willpower alone would not be sufficient. Accept that thanksgiving will sometimes feel mechanical rather than emotional, because genuine gratitude does not always feel warm and flowing. But sometimes it is a choice more than a feeling and discipline more than desire. This is not fake thanksgiving. It is faithful thanksgiving that persists regardless of emotional accompaniment, and the feeling will return as the practice continues, so don't abandon the discipline because the emotion has temporarily departed. Build accountability for thanksgiving into your relationships by sharing your commitment with others who can ask about your gratitude practice and encourage your persistence. Or join groups that make thanksgiving a shared discipline rather than a private struggle. Let others support your thanksgiving journey as you support theirs. Because accountability creates external motivation that supplements internal commitment, especially in the TTL ground of your thought life. Your mind produces thousands of thoughts each day, and many of these are negative by default, shaped by fallen nature, environmental influences, and enemy whispers. But thanksgiving is the discipline that recaptures thought life for kingdom purposes. Every thought you think is either grateful or ungrateful, thankful or complaining. So there is none neutral ground in the realm of thought. When you're not actively thinking, you are passively complaining, if not in words, then in the orientation of your mind toward what is wrong, rather than what is right. Take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ, an instruction that applies directly to thanksgiving. So when a complaining thought arises, capture it before it takes root and replace it with a grateful thought that acknowledges blessing rather than amplifying burden. This is not suppression but substitution, not denial but redirection. So practice noticing your thoughts with curiosity rather than condemnation. When you catch yourself thinking negatively, do not add self-criticism to the negativity. Simply notice, redirect, and replaces that over time. This practice rewires your brain to produce grateful thoughts more naturally. The enemy knows that the battle for your destiny is won or lost in your thought life. Because if he can keep your thoughts focused on lack, loss, and disappointment, he can keep you living beneath your potential. But if Thanksgiving claims your thought life, his strategy is defeated. A mind full of gratitude has no room for the weapon she wants to deploy against you. And Thanksgiving is a form of worship because it acknowledges my character, celebrates my provision, and honors my presence in your life. Worship that does not include thanksgiving is incomplete worship, so when you gather with other believers, incorporate worship. Let thanksgiving be part of your offering by singing songs of gratitude and speaking words of appreciation. Let your worship be saturated with acknowledgement of my faithfulness, because this thanksgiving component elevates worship from mere religious activity to genuine spiritual connection. In your private devotional time, let thanksgiving be the door through which you enter my presence, beginning prayer with gratitude before you bring requests and opening worship with appreciation before you ask for anything. This order is not a formula that positions your heart correctly before you seek my transforming your prayer life, because when you begin with gratitude, you approach him as a generous father rather than a reluctant provider. When you thank me before asking, you acknowledge that you have already received more than you deserve, and this thanksgiving foundation changes the entire atmosphere of prayer, creating conditions in which faith flourishes. Contentment is not passive acceptance of circumstances, but active appreciation for provision within circumstances. Meaning it is not resignation to less than you desire, but gratitude for what you have while you believe for more. Thanksgiving produces contentment because gratitude focuses on what is present rather than what is absent. So when you consistently thank me for what you have, you discover that what you have is more than you realized. The act of appreciation reveals abundance that complaint obscured. So what seemed lack transforms into sufficiency when seen through thanksgiving eyes. Learn to be content in every circumstance, which does not mean accepting permanent residence in uncomfortable places, but means maintaining a grateful posture while you journey through them. It means thanking me for what is while believing for what will be, and finding joy in the present while pressing toward a better future. For contentment does not kill ambition, but purifies it. The contented person can still work for improvement without the desperation that drives ungrateful striving, and the thankful soul can still believe for breakthrough without the anxiety that characterize unsatisfied reaching. Some who receive this message are in a midnight season right now, where the circumstances of your life have created darkness that daylight cannot penetrate, and the challenges you face seem overwhelming. So, Thanksgiving seems impossible, yet it is precisely in the midnight hour that Thanksgiving becomes most powerful. For when Paul and Silas praised at midnight, they were not praising because circumstances warranted praise. They were praising despite circumstances that warranted despair. Their midnight thanksgiving released power that no daytime gratitude could achieved. So if you are in a midnight season, thanksgiving is not denial of your darkness, but declaration of my light. You are not pretending that everything is fine when everything is not fine. You are acknowledging that I remain faithful even when circumstances seem unfaithful. And you are celebrating my character when your experiences seems to contradict my goodness. This midnight thanksgiving requires courage that daytime gratitude does not demand, requiring faith that goes beyond evidence and trust that transcends circumstance. But when you offer it, something happens in the spiritual realm that transforms earthly reality. Midnight praises hakes foundations that daytime worship cannot move. So whatever midnight you are currently navigating, Thanksgiving is available. Kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. You can't thank me that I am with you in the darkness. Thank me that darkness is not my destination for you, and thank me that morning is coming, even though night seems endless. Thank me that the same God who has brought you through previous midnights will bring you through this one, and look to the future that stretches before you, because the coming days and years hold more blessing than you have dared to imagine. The plans I have for you are plans for good and not for evil. Plans to give you a future and a hope, and thanksgiving positions you to receive what I am preparing. Your future is not a fixed fate that happens regardless of your response. Your future is an unfolding story that you participate in writing through your choices, your words, and your thanksgiving. When you thank me in advance for the future I am building, you are participating in its construction. So thank me tonight for the breakthrough that is coming and for the provision that is en route. Thank me for the relationships that are forming, for the opportunities that are opening, for the healing that is manifesting, and for the purpose that is clear. Ifying your thanksgiving for future blessing is not wishful thinking. It is a faith-filled declaration that participates in creating what it celebrates. So I want to give you a vision of the Thanksgiving lifestyle that is developing in you. See yourself 1 year from now transformed by consistent gratitude into someone noticeably different from who you are tonight. Seeing the peace that has replaced anxiety because Thanksgiving has retrained your mind. See the provision that has increased because gratitude has opened channels that complaint had said, and see the relationships that have deepened because appreciation has created connection that criticism would have destroyed. As you prepare to sleep, let thanksgiving be the blanket that covers you, and let gratitude be the pillow on which your head rests. Let appreciation be the guard that stands watch over your dreams, for the night that now surrounds you is different from nights that came before, because you are different from who you were before. The thanksgiving that has been awakened will not go back to sleep. The gratitude that has been activated will not be deactivated, and the appreciation that has been cultivated will produce a harvest that continues for seasons to come. Before you close your eyes tonight, make a simple commitment. Write "I commit to 30 days of Thanksgiving" on a sticky note and place it on your mirror. Each morning, say 3 things you're grateful for. Start tomorrow. As you close your eyes tonight, let thankfulness be your final conscious thought, reviewing the blessings of this day and acknowledging the provision you have received. Celebrate the protection that has surrounded you, name the people who have blessed you, and count the mercies that have been new this morning and have sustained you through the day. Let gratitude fill the moments between waking and sleeping. And when you wake tomorrow, let thanksgiving be your first returning thought, so that before you remember what you have to do, you remember what I have done. Before you catalog what is wrong, celebrate what is right, and before you begin the striving of another day, rest in the gratitude that makes striving sustainable. Let Thanksgiving bookend your sleep, covering the night on both sides with grateful acknowledgement, and understand that what has happened tonight is no ending but beginning. The Thanksgiving that has been awakened is not meant to fade but tomorrow. It is meant to grow daily, until it becomes the defining characteristic of your entire existence, for you are not the same. A person who began receiving this message, something has shifted that cannot shift back, a door has opened that cannot close again, and understanding has been imparted that cannot be unknown. The Thanksgiving lifestyle that began tonight will continue indefinitely, producing fruit that multiplies with each passing season. So remember what you have received and return to these words when the enemy attacks with discouragement designed to steal gratitude that has been planted. Share these truths with others who need their own Thanksgiving awakened, and let what has happened in you become a catalyst for what needs to happen in others. For the season of Thanksgiving marked on calendars is merely an echo of what I desire to establish permanently in your heart. Others will pack away their gratitude with the holiday decorations, but you will carry yours into every day of the coming year and beyond. And while others return to complaint, a sad default setting, you will maintain thanksgiving as the frequency on which your life operates. This is your transformation. This is your commissioning, and this is your call to a lifestyle of gratitude that will transform everything it touches. Thanksgiving has become not what you occasionally practice, but who you continuously are. So go now in the peace that Thanksgiving produces, and go in the power that gratitude releases. Go in the purpose that appreciation clarifies. Knowing that I go with you, watching over every step, celebrating every expression of thanks, and responding to every act of faith that gratitude represents. The night that now unfolds you is different from the nights that came before, and the morning that will follow will be different from morning. Jesus, I have known, because the life that stretches ahead is being transformed by the thanksgiving that has been awakened tonight. Everything changes because gratitude has become your defining reality. And I am your Father who loves you beyond what any language can express. I have watched over you since before you took your first breath, and I have been with you through every moment of every day of your entire life. There is nothing about you that is hidden from my sight, and there is nothing about you that diminishes my love. For you are my child in whom I am complete. Delighted, not because you have achieved perfection, but because you are mine, and not because you have earned my approval, but because my love does not require earning. Not because you have never failed, but because my grace covers every failure with mercy that refuses to condemn. So our connection is eternal and unbreakable. Nothing in heaven or earth can separate you from my love, no circumstance, no failure, no enemy, and no choice you could make has the power to disconnect us. For what I have joined together, nothing can tear apart. You are mine forever, and our future together is bright beyond imagination. For what I have planned for you exceeds anything you have dared to hope. The blessings I am preparing would overwhelm you if you could see them now, but they are coming. They are already on their way, and Thanksgiving is opening the door for their arrival. Rest now in the thanksgiving that has been established, letting gratitude be the pillow on which your head rests tonight, and appreciation be the blanket that covers you. Let thanksgiving be the guard that watches over your sleep, protecting you from anxiety, and filling your dreams with peace. So wake tomorrow in the gratitude that will carry you forward. Let thanksgiving be the first thought that forms as consciousness returns. Let appreciation be the lens through which you view the new day, and let gratitude be the fuel that powers your morning activities. Walk in the appreciation that attracts blessing at every turn, and let thanksgiving be the rhythm of your steps throughout the day, letting gratitude be the posture from which you face every circumstance. Let appreciation be the response that comes automatically to whatever life brings. Living in the thanksgiving that transforms everything it touches. Letting gratitude be not just something you do, but something you are. This is my invitation to you tonight, my gift to you in this sacred season, and my promise for your future that thanksgiving is the key that unlocks everything else. Take it and use it to watch doors open, to watch blessing flow, and to watch life transform. Happy Thanksgiving, my beloved child, not just on this holiday, but on every day that follows, not just in this season, but in every season that awaits, and not just when circumstances seem good, but in every circumstance you will ever face. Happy Thanksgiving always, in all things, for all things, and through all things. Sleep well tonight, for the peace that passes understanding is standing guard over your rest, and the angels I have assigned to your life are watching over you as you sleep. The blessing I am preparing will begin manifesting while you rest, so tomorrow will be better than today, because Thanksgiving has begun its transforming work. Tomorrow is filled with more blessing than your grateful heart will know how to contain. For provision is coming that will exceed your expectations, and breakthrough is arriving that will surprise you with its timing. Healing is manifesting that will surpass what you dared to hope, and relationship restoration is unfolding that will exceed what seemed possible. Everything you have been believing for is moving toward you, because Thanksgiving has created the conditions, and tomorrow begins to deliver what gratitude has attracted. I love you forever. Not with love that fluctuates based on your performance or withdraws when you disappoint, and not with love that must be earned or maintained through behavior. I love you with a love that chose you before you existed, that pursues you regardless of your response, and that never wavers regardless of your wavering. This love is the foundation of everything. It is why provision comes, it is why protection surrounds you, it is why purpose awaits you, and it is why Thanksgiving matters. You are loved completely and eternally, and from that love flows everything Thanksgiving attracts. Receive my love tonight. Let it settle into the deepest parts of your soul. Let it heal what has been wounded. Let restore what has been broken, and let it establish what has been unstable. My love for you is the foundation on which Thanksgiving stands. Sourced in that love, trust in that love, and let that love produce the gratitude. Ether transforms everything else.